I guess I'll start the topic on an InfoWars report called Attack on Dallas, a False Flag. Alex is there Saturday morning having a heart-to-heart with his audience, and then he pulls the rug out from underneath you with the report like this. To summarize what he said, this James Boulware, spelled Boulware, he allegedly he put armor on his van, and then he went to the Dallas Police Department, I guess, and started opening fire on them. Now, Alex says these attacks on the police, not all of them are false flags. It really does happen. People should know that's no way to react to all the corruption and how they feel about the government. And he goes on to say that if the feds had something to do with it, he would know 100% it was a false flag. But since it's the Dallas Police Department, he is going to give them the benefit of the doubt and say maybe that was a real situation where this James Boulware got fed up for one reason or another and decided to attack the cops. Most people who have shootouts with the cops or something like that, they might be some sort of criminal outfit on the run, and the cops track them down and they have a shootout with the cops because they don't want to go to jail. But usually criminals do not go engage cops at a police station. That's just basically a recipe for suicide. You're going to go where the cops are, where you know there's going to be a lot of cops, where you know their arsenal is going to be, and you're going to have a shootout with them there, where you take the offensive position and they take the defensive position, and everybody knows a defensive position is superior in a battle. And even though they could be outnumbered, they have the better position. It's just the way it is. So when you hear about, another lone gunman, lone assassin deciding to go and attack a police station, that's reminiscent of Eric Frein. And Eric Frein supposedly, I have a report on Eric Frein if you want to look into that. I'm not going to go into that BS story either. Basically, these reports exist to paint the police as being a victim, when in fact the police are attacking the American people. Due to my activism, I'm harassed on a day-to-day basis, and basically they're all off-duty cops in plain clothes that harass me with their cars. They try to engage me in the fights in the street. Wherever I go in the public, I'll get these off-duty cops that attempt to try to get me into a fight with them. They try to provoke an altercation with them. So it's non-stop harassment by off-duty cops or military guys. And to explain how that kind of works, when I was living in Derby, Connecticut, there wasn't very many jobs. You could go to the store and look at the 3 papers there, and there would only be a handful of jobs. But I saw one ad, I wish I kept it, but it was a private security company that said that they needed like surveillance techs or something like that. And the ad was kind of very simple. It's like a private security company, SurTech, looking for surveillance technicians. And so I called up that place, not because I wanted a job, but I just kind of wanted to hear what he had to say. I'm like, yeah, what do you need to be a surveillance tech? Could you need to have a high school diploma or GED, or what exactly are you looking for to be a private security agent here, a surveillance tech? And so the following day in the newspaper, the guy had expanded on his ad there to say ex-police officers or people, ex-military people who are looking for a job in the security industry or something should apply here, for a surveillance tech's position, and they need a high school diploma or something, or maybe not even. Does the military still have a requirement that you need your GED or high school diploma to get in, or are they taking anybody? I think they're taking anybody. And if not, they could get hired on through these private security companies. So these private security companies are hiring people with police backgrounds and military backgrounds. And probably a lot of these goons that follow me around wherever I leave the house, or are positioned to stand outside my house and act like they're, picking through the garbage or hammering a freaking board over a window for the past 3 months, whatever the hell they're doing. They're probably little clowns that haven't even graduated high school that are hired through some security and surveillance firm like that piece of shit company in Derby, Connecticut. So Alex is like, you know it's going to be a false flag if the feds were involved. If the feds were involved 100%, but since it's the Dallas cops, I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt and not believe that it might be a false flag, because there are attacks on the cops. Well, number one, Alex, not all the feds walk around with suits on like you would see in the movies or something like that. In fact, when the feds or the FBI do a raid, they all show up in SWAT gear. They all show up as cops. So the feds are basically the cops. Whatever they want to call themselves. They want to put FBI in the back of the SWAT team gear, or they want to have ATF, or whatever alphabet agency they want to represent themselves as. The environmental police. Whatever they want to be. The truth is, the feds could play dress up to anybody. That's what all the drills, these so-called drills that you used to expose when maybe you were a little bit more honest, I don't know. Maybe I just woke up more recently. But all the drills that you used to expose would talk about the military or the feds, whatever you want to call them, running drills where they would take over towns. And how would they take over towns? They would take over towns by taking over the law enforcement and taking over the churches. That was the big thing. So they didn't just take over by kicking on a door and dragging the local sheriff or the local police department out. They would show up with credentials and explain how they have jurisdiction, and it's the government. The government can't be wrong. The government won't take no for an answer. And if you do have a problem with them, go hire an attorney, I guess. And you could pay money out of your own pocket to go argue with the government in a government court about your rights if you don't like the federal government coming into your town and saying that we need to take over this area for national security or for whatever reason they give them. But that's what they run drills for. When I make fun of a lot of these preachers and these churches, is because it's basically just the mouthpiece of the military corporate establishment. It's no longer the military industrial complex because we have no industry. We have no jobs here. But we have a lot of wingnut corporations that buy and sell money or whatever the hell they do, and produce very little besides monopolies and put all of you out of work. So the preachers are all hand chosen by the feds, by the military, by the Central Intelligence Agency to be represented on the TV, or who will be in these large churches in whatever town they want to take over. In New Hampshire, there's a large church right across the street from the Army Reserves that they have up there. And they have a huge billboard with some like little joke. And I'm sure if you go to their little pathetic services on every Sunday, you would hear basically the voice piece of the military corporate establishment as well. But that's what the feds do, is they come and they take over law enforcement. So I don't know what the paperwork they fill out or what warrants they show the people or what legal papers they do, what they say exactly. But I know for a fact that the FBI takes over, the feds take over any local police department they want. And you expose that yourself with the military running drills in whatever town, taking over the law enforcement and the local churches. So it shouldn't be news to you or a big thing to ponder there, whether the Dallas Police Department was really under attack by a crazed gunman in an armored vehicle. When you hear that, it's basically most likely a drill, meaning that it's all BS, or it's some sort of mind control victim that they sent off on a warpath. Alright, so I guess the last thing that I want to talk about is basically right now the United States of America is the Fourth Reich. That's what you're up against, the Fourth Reich. And the sad thing about it is that there's no up-and-coming country like America out there with more honesty, or morality or independence that's willing to invade here and liberate the people of this country when our government turns to complete tyrannical, child-killing scum. There's no one left to put things right. So Alex Jones, you could keep on acting like an apologist for the Fourth Reich there. But when your government goes to complete evil, what are you going to do? You got very little options. You go to any type of facility, any facility. You go to any lawyer, any courthouse, any hospital, any doctor's office, and you try to explain to them that due to activism or due to your personal situation that the feds or the military or the agencies after you. That's a recipe to get locked up or put on meds. And it's like everybody is programmed in this country. If you go in and you say that somebody's out to get you, such as the government or the military, you are a nut and you should be locked up. Everybody's programmed to that fact. That's 100% fact. You want to get yourself on meds? You want to get yourself locked up in a nut ward? Go down to anybody. You go tell them that due to your personal situation, the government or the feds or the agency or the military is out to get you, and you're going to have yourself a nice little room with padded walls and Thorazine drip. So when your government goes bad, you have no protection. You got nothing. You have no protection. And I think basically that a lot of people, they're just in denial because they kind of know that. It's like a subconscious thing. Like my friends and family, I could show them some of the video and I could see that they get fearful. They get scared. And they just go through the whole list of everything that they can come up with to say that there's some doubt in this. There's some way that they could say it's not as bad as it seems, or that's not a real human bone, or it could be anything, blah, 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 blah. Every excuse in the book they're going to come up with to say it's not happening, because deep down inside they know when your government and your military decide to attack its own people, you basically got no hope. This is what happened in Nazi Germany, but the German people collectively didn't turn into villains. But the majority of the German people were basically brainwashed by media, just the same as the American people are now. There's really no difference between the German people in World War II times and the American people in 2015. There is very little difference. And if the government starts rounding up different people and putting them in different camps, like Guantanamo Bay, the people are just going to take the government's word for it. These are terrorists, or these are people that need to be in prison. So the same thing happened with rounding up whoever they wanted to round up and put in the concentration camps. And I really don't want to go on to a huge lecture about this, but basically the reason there are so many conflicting stories about the concentration camps is because the Nazis didn't want to exterminate the Jews. And that always pisses off the Jews. What do you mean that the Nazis didn't want to exterminate us? What do you mean? You're going to say the atrocities didn't exist? You're going to say, no. The Nazis wanted to control the Jews. The Nazis wanted to invade and control the whole world. And like any empire, the empires don't invade a culture and then systematically wipe out everybody in that country and leave an uninhabited country there. And then what do? The whole goal of these scumbags is to invade a country, crush the government, take over, and then use the people for their own benefit. That's the reason why these empires invade other countries. Not to systematically wipe everybody out who are the native inhabitants to that country, but to control the native inhabitants.